good afternoon.
Yes, good
So,
afternoon once again. Today is the last day of, I think, the
yes,
live talkback sessions. Also, the second to the last day of the online
festival.
streaming of the Mindanao Film Festival.
Tomorrow
Hello.
na is Jay. Tomorrow is awards night. Yes,
Yep.
we will be
Tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow is
awarding.
also the awards.
Congrats sa winners, no, and the nominees, and also the films that were submitted. So,
So
sino yung ating kasama ngayon hapon, Jay?
yes, for this talkback, we're actually going to be talking with um, because last night we talked to the filmmakers of the Asian short films that we exhibited. No, so this time part of the selection of the exhibition films also includes full length films. No, so
Yeah.
we're very fortunate to have submissions from other countries in Asia of their feature length or full length films. And for this year, we have two of them, two of the feature length films, and two of the filmmakers who are joining us for this talk back. And these are Nandan of
Nandan.
filmmaker of the Dreaming of Words. Um, he's from India. No, hello, hi Nandan. How are you doing?
Hi, Jay. Good. Glad
What
to
time
be.
is it there right now in India?
It's 11:30. 11:30 a.m.
AM. Okay, so we are like 2 hours behind, 3 hours.
Okay.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us. And
Thank you.
next, we have Harvan Agustriansyah of the film Empu, Sugar on the Weaver's Chair. Hello, Harvan.
Hello, hello, good
Harvan
afternoon.
is from
Hello.
Indonesia.
Yeah,
So how are you, Harvan?
I'm good. Thank you
Thank you
to
for
inviting
thank you for
me.
joining us to this talk back. So I guess before we get into discussing the your films, I guess it's proper to also ask how are you? How have you been doing these past few months amidst the pandemic? What keeps you busy? Yeah. So maybe Nandan.
So before the pandemic, actually, I used to work in Mumbai, one of the
Mm,
biggest cities in India. So I used to work there. So when the pandemic struck, I came back to Kerala, and that's when I finished this documentary, Dreaming of Words.
mm,
I finished the post production in February, and then I was not able to go out, So basically, I started writing. So I write literature as well. So I started writing. So that's how I spend my time. So I'm at the same time I'm planning to do a film. So I'm doing that. So it has
so the
been difficult,
film
but still I'm making use of the time.
so this film was finished actually during the time of the lockdown,
Yes,
right?
yes. In
Uh,
February, actually, just before the lockdown.
just before. Okay.
So yeah, the
Yeah,
shoot was done last year, but only the post production was finished this time.
Mm.
So this is the first screening of the film.
Mm. Wow, we're very privileged to have it screened in our festival. How about you, Harvan? How are
Thank you
you
for the experience.
doing?
okay. Yeah, Sugar on the Weber Chairs finished around November last year,
Mm.
and then we submit the festival, and then uh, mm, in Indonesia, we have a lockdown around March or April. Yeah, we can do anything until September, but maybe I try to writing something, to
Mm.
writing synopsis, scenario, maybe something like that.
Okay. You wanna go next, Dol?
Okay, Trivia J, Harvan here submitted a film in 2007 and we showed it. It was the first time that 2007 that we accepted entries, and one of the films entries from around the world, no. And one of the films was from
2017.
Harvan. 2007,
2017.
2007. I mean, hindi, may isang year, there was one year that we accepted some films from around the then it stopped 2000 after
Okay.
2007 we we shifted back to, and one of these films was from Harvan. I forgot the
Oh,
title. What was the title of the 2007 film?
Yeah, that's my graduate film from
Ah,
Jakarta International Film School. I graduated at the 2007. The title is Order. I
yeah.
don't know the English. Only
Mhm.
Order. Only yeah, like you said. That's about the neocolonialism or anything.
Yeah, I remember. I remember those
Yeah,
two.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So this is Welcome Back
Welcome back. Yeah, 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 yeah.
after 13 years. No?
13 years. Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
okay, tell
wow.
us about your films, no? Harvan and Nandan. Nan. Tell us about your film. Let's start with Nandan.
Yeah.
Your Dreaming of Words.
So this film is about a lexicographer. It's about Mr. Nyatela Sridharan. So he's from Kerala. So as you know, in India we have a lot of languages. In India we have a lot of languages, and we speak a lot of language. We don't have a common language for India. So mostly we use English for the common language because in different states we speak different languages. But everywhere it's like, so this person Nyatela Sridharan is from Kerala, where Malayalam is spoken. So Malayalam is spoken by about 40 million people. So he knows Malayalam, of course. And then he is a fourth standard dropout. He didn't study after that. So he went to a BD factory and worked there. And then he learned all these languages, the other languages by himself. Like he learned Tamil, he learned Telugu, he learned Kannada, and then he started compiling a dictionary connecting these four languages. So it took him like the traveling and journeys and everything. It took him 25 years to complete. So the film Dreaming of Words is about his life and the work and how he completed the dictionary and the difficulties in getting it published. So it's about that journey.
Mm. I think it's a very fascinating. I, for one, was really fascinated about the subject matter. I mean,
Language.
um, yeah, and then I mean, who encounters a lexicographer really in a day-to-day basis, right? So,
Yeah.
and I'm also curious about your approach to the documentary because it's very straightforward, right? And what made you decide to go that path? Because uh, currently, right now in the documentary landscape, there is a trend of creative documentary, right? Mixing different disciplines with playing around the form of documentary, but this one is pretty much straightforward. And what made you decide to adapt this kind of approach for Dreaming of Words?
Yeah, I know about the latest trends in documentary, and I do follow all the trends in documentary and all the films. And basically, I work in ad films where
Mm,
the approach is completely different. Like
mm,
there's all glossy and there's all new technology and
mm,
everything. I work in all that. But when I basically when I actually I used to work. I'm a civil engineer, so I used to
mm,
work in
Ah,
Bangalore. So that time I learned these languages, Kannada, Tamil, and a little bit of Telugu. So that time I was looking for a dictionary connecting these four languages. So I couldn't find a dictionary then. So and then later I made a short film called Breath. It had two languages, like a bilingual thing. And then after that, sometimes I found this news in a newspaper, like about this person who compiled a dictionary on his own. And actually, I wanted that dictionary. So later, I approached that newspaper, and then I got the contact. So I spoke to him, and I went there and I had a conversation with him. And then I came to know that the dictionary was never published. So even though it was a huge work, it was never published. So that, and when I spoke about it, when I spoke with him, I came to know that he was a fourth standard dropout, and he
mm,
learned all these languages on his own and did it. So then I thought I should do it. Uh, I should make a documentary on it, especially the fact that the dictionary was never published. Like after all the effort, after all this effort, it was never published. So the reason that I went for a classic documentary approach is because he was this person was an 82-year-old man in Natala Sri. So during this 25 years, most of the time he spent in that. If you've seen the documentary, you can see in that room that he spent most of his time in that room. He didn't go out, but now he doesn't go out. So basically, I approached the documentary. The overall approach of the documentary was like to follow the character. So basically, since he doesn't move around a lot, like if I'm making a documentary about a football player, I would have chose to like run with the person. I would have make it more this, but with this person, I chose to. I wanted to listen to him. I wanted to listen to the others on what is happening. So basically, the approach was uh, like a small student interviewing a older person about his knowledge, like how that would be. I've done that when I was a child. I was studying in school. So the approach of the documentary is like that. Like you're there, you're listening to this person, and then listening to others about him and the other aspects of the dictionary and the importance of the dictionary. And at the same time, I've included a little deviation from it where we are traveling to other places. So I just wanted to recreate those journeys. So I chose to be like, I deliberately chose the classic way, like of the documentary, traditional way of documentary filming.
Yeah, and I think for me, I would, as a viewer, I think for something like a subject matter that is new to me, such as what you have tackled, I think it never gets old, that kind of approach, because you always want to like inform also the audience, especially if you want them to know about such a rare subject matter or such a rare person. No, so yeah, maybe for Harvan, what made you decide also to tackle the subject matter, because the film is very it really highlights a feminist lens, right? Uh, Highlighting the role of women, and the play of gender in such a conservative society, for example. What made you tackle this subject matter?
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I have this project from the NGO, National
Mm.
Non-profit organization. Uh, they asked me to. They want to make something different from. Uh, they have me made like a documentary, like profile company. They want to show something different. Uh, to make something like fiction. But this is the film promotion. But I'm as a director. I want to I want to make. I, I realize there's any audience. They need new audience. So I think I have to make like a little bit fictional story to development story. Uh, we got this story. This based on true story from the three women in Indonesia, uh, from from uh, from Java, from Nusa Tenggara, from East Nusa Tenggara. Uh, so this is very challenging for me because we have to voice about the woman, about the how they struggle, about their problems. Um, so I think this is very interesting about the problem, about the story. I think it's very interesting for me. So I want to make this film to to get the new audience. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed, of course, aside from the similarities in the landscapes, no, of Indonesia, and particularly here in Mindanao, because we're very much adjacent to each other. Um, we have like the same landscape. So looking at it, and I thought that like the Mindanao audience would very much relate to the landscapes of in Indonesia, but not just not just the landscapes, no, but the stories of women, especially in countryside, which is very much also similar to what is being experienced here in the countryside, Philippine countryside, no, especially here in Mindanao. Um, you brought up a while ago that you were working with the NGO, right, for this film, and
Yeah.
they provided support. How is it like working with NGOs in creating films? Because usually, if you're working with NGOs, they have advocacies, right? And sometimes it gets in the way with a certain creative license when you're making your film. So how do you deal with this, and what discussions occur with the NGO or
Yeah.
with their representatives?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's very challenging for me. When they have when they as they want something, they want to voice their their story. Uh, I got three story, and then I think not the story is not too dramatic. I think not too dramatic, but
Mm,
uh, I I need to know more. I need to know more, and then we have to go to the research for the character. I go to the Java to meet someone up there. I go to the Nusa Tenggara. I go to meet the real person who we adapt the his her story to our character to development to make the dramatic the story. Yeah, that's very hard to make the NGO to make the
mm,
NGO. Okay, this is the right story. This is the right uh, problem we have to show to the audience. We have to uh, yeah the communication is a little bit difficult because they before before they making this fiction they only making documentary short documentary uh, video profile, so we have to make 16 minute 60 minute
mm.
60 minute film. That's not easy to make to have the audience the new audience. So I think I always uh, mm, tell them to if you want to new audience like in the international audience or the national audience. I think the problem of the story we have to really we have to get the universal story, universal problem, so everyone can relate about the problem of the characters. And I think,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, for me, I think all of the stories are very distinct. The stories of the women, but I think they are very striking in their own way. Each has their own struggles. Um, the other character has a very personal struggle, and then the other one is more of like broader in scope. No, it pertains to the preservation of culture and the role of that women play in the preservation of that culture. But I
yeah,
think I think I get what you mean by really it's a challenge of like talking to like letting them understand that this is how the storytelling goes in films,
yeah,
because like what I've mentioned a while ago, um, NGOs would want to like really focus on the advocacy, right? And sometimes
yeah,
if we highlight advocacy in films, it could get too in your face, right? And it doesn't it really it gets in the way of the storytelling. So yeah, I think that's I get what you mean by that. Yep.
mhm,
How about you, Dolph? Do you have a question for the both of them?
Okay, to Harvan, no, because
yeah,
it's your reunion after this is your return after 2007. No? So what after 2007 and now, what were you doing? Did you, because you pursued uh, you really pursued your filmmaking profession. What was after 2000? What did you do
Yeah, yeah.
before?
After 2007, I'm working as a professional in film industry as a assistant director. I do I did many uh, in film. I involved in many film in Indonesia until 2015 as a assistant director. But in every years, I trying to make a short film. I'm making short film in 2010. After order in 2007, I produced 2000 short film in 2010 in Thailand. 2012, I'm making some short film for horror movie. 2015, I'm making film, and then 2016, uh, I make film. The title is The Silent Mob. Uh, that's the I think that's the moment I come back. I come back in festival area in festival area. Uh, then I made this Sugar on River Chair in 2018 until 2019. We do this for 1 year to making this to make the Empu Sugar on River Chair uh, because the situation about the budget, about the time from the character. Uh, we just finished at 2019 in November. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, correction. According to Dax, our former festival director, your film was screened in 2008, but the film
Oh yeah,
was made in 2007. That was your. I remember that scene. That it was like a desert and a foreigner.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
this foreigner.
So
Okay.
this is an interesting trivia, no? I didn't know that before we you guys were able to screen also films, non-Mindanao films,
yeah,
I think
yeah.
it
but
was
it's up.
outside.
Yeah.
So I would like to ask Nandan on because it's you touch about language. In Kerala, they have four languages. So like the Philippines or Jane, we have so many dialects and languages, and
Yep.
some have made documentaries about. But you made about man, no? This tawag no?
Lexicographer.
Uh, lexicographer. That and he was not academically trained. He was I think a public works. He used to make roads.
Yeah,
Roads,
he used to
and he
work
was
in
like
that department, public works
uh,
department,
yeah.
and he used to work in the BD factory. You've seen the BDs, right?
What's the
Like
PD? What? Yeah.
that's a local cigarette,
Ah.
Oh, possible.
local cigarette. So they make it with nicotine kind of thing. They make it
It's a
in the
tobacco. It's
factory. It's a
tobacco.
tobacco. Yeah, they make it with
Tobacco.
tobacco, add the tobacco, and then roll it. So they do it. So he was a worker there. So
Okay.
it's a very interesting thing. He used to work there. After fourth standard, he used to work there.
Mm.
At the same time, it's
But
an interesting thing because they used to read aloud the newspaper during that time. And they used to work in a factory. Like if you have seen, he's walking in the through the same BD factory. So if there are 30 people, one person will be reading out the newspaper aloud. So
yeah.
that person will be given that day's money from the other people's pay because they want to hear what this man is reading. So they will be working, but they will listen to what this man is reading. So they will take turns and everyone will read out the newspapers. So that's how he got interested to reading and languages. So that's how it.
Mm.
Can these people understand? Can a Tamil speaker understood a Malayalam speaker? Can they understand the four language and speak,
Not
or
not all of them can speak. This is from four states. Like in Kerala, we speak Malayalam. In Tamil Nadu, they speak Tamil, and in Andhra Pradesh, they speak Telugu, and in Karnataka, they speak Kannada. So there are 4 languages in 4 states. So each language is spoken by like more than 40 million people. So they are like a huge, but the even though the 4 states are in the same country, the intercultural dialogues and communication is actually very less. Like the way we, so still we need to communicate. Mostly we used to communicate through English most of the time. But sometimes some places like in Bangalore, they speak. When we used to work in a construction site, then we didn't have an option. We would speak all the language. So that was common. But usually in every state, only these particular languages spoken. And along the borders, both the language will be spoken. So this man learning 4 languages is like a huge achievement. And the states in India are divided based on languages. There are 28 states, so they are almost divided into languages. Some of the states commonly speak Hindi, but these states are like different. So that's why what he did was actually connecting these 4 states. That's a
Yep. Yeah, we were talking about languages, no, and in the Philippines, like what Rudolph said, there are a lot of languages. I think I'm not exactly sure about the exact number, but I think it's 80 plus, Dolph, no? 80 plus languages, but of course some languages are dominant. And I think, like for example, with Indonesia and the Philippines also, they have similar um, geography because we are composed of a lot of islands, right? And aside from this geographical composition, Philippines has different languages, and because of this, there's this regional cinema that we consider, that we are actually talking about, no? And this has been in the consciousness of filmmakers ever since technology has been democratized, and everywhere in the country can make their films and can tell their stories. And the regional cinema as a term became as a sort of catchphrase for independent films here in the Philippines. So when you talk about independent filmmaking, usually it's associated now with regional cinema. So when you talk of a Philippine cinema, we do not only talk about the cinema that is being made in Manila, for example. We are talking about cinemas made from all over the parts of Philippines. So I wanted to know, for example, in India, is the term regional cinema a kind of conscious term for filmmakers in India, and what is the state of like these regional cinemas all around India?
in India, we have a lot of industries. Like they are like in India, films are like a filmmaking is a big business and it's big here. So we have a lot of industries. Like for the Hindi film industry, we even have a term called Bollywood. So there is this Hindi film industry which works mainly in Mumbai, so and makes Hindi films. So I work as an assistant director in Mumbai, the mainstream big Bollywood films. At the same time, we have regional cinema, not necessarily regional cinema, since that it is spoken by a lot of people. Like in Kerala, there is Malayalam cinema, Tamil cinema, Kannada cinema, Telugu. There are all like different industries which are like which sustain on their own right. Because in Kerala, the Malayalam is spoken by a lot of people abroad, like in Gulf, in the Middle East, Dubai, US. So the film gets released all over the world, to be honest. So, but the difference between commercial cinema and good independent cinema is everywhere in the every industry. Like even in the regional cinema, there are big commercial films, and at the same time independent cinema, and even Hindi also it's there. So, but still, in the commercial cinema, if you talk about commercial cinema, the regional industry, the Malayalam, Tamil, and all these industries are making like very good cinema. Maybe because of lesser budget and control over the subject. I think they are making better films. in terms of aesthetics. So they are making better films. But it's a big business here. That's an advantage, but at the same time, that's the disadvantage of filmmaking in India. So it's difficult. It's very difficult for independent filmmakers. But other than that, it's like all industries are like good, and I think that difference needs to be there. Like it's not like we don't watch a single common film. Every part of India we watch, like we have different stars and different languages. We listen to different kind of songs. Some of them are so visually we don't have a pan Indian industry. We don't have that, to be honest. But still, I think this works because the stories from every part of India comes out, and everything works. Every industry survives on its own right. That's interesting, I think.
Yeah,
Yes,
I think that's a very nice insight, Dolph, no? Because I think because in the Philippines, when you talk about, for example, Mindanao cinema, we don't have this industry, and some of the it's not making money, you know. The filmmakers here in Mindanao usually are able to make their films because they can access some grants from from Manila, for example, from huge film festivals in Manila, and that's the only time that, in a way, Mindanao films gets to be sort of mainstreamed in the national film culture because of these grants, because of these film festivals. But if you're talking about this like a Mindanao cinema that is commercial and viable, I don't think we still have that yet right now. No, but it's good to know that that kind of regional cinema that is both that makes money at the same time representative of your region, of the different regions in your country, is existing in India. So
because
yeah,
I
maybe
think
you wanna.
uh, India is a federal. I think it's a federal state, so it's not centralized like compared to the Philippines.
Yeah.
So I think there are the regions have their
Mm,
separate. Like there's a Bengali cinema,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
there's a Tamil, and there's a
Yeah,
Hindu, the Bollywood.
Mm,
So there's
yeah.
they have different. They can be there's a mainstream. Then
Mm,
the mainstream there is there's a Bengali mainstream cinema. There's
yeah,
Bollywood and
mm,
other regions. Unlike the
yeah.
Philippines, we have one mainstream Manila
and everything
centric
else is in.
industry. Then
Mm.
everything else is indie
Everything
regional.
else is indie and regional. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think
For
it's
yeah.
great. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Please
yeah.
go
But
ahead.
I feel it's great. It's great to see, like from what I saw from the festival program and everything. I was searching about more about Philippine cinema. It's great to see that you're doing a lot to promote the regional cinema because I think regional is international nowadays. Because I believe that in the world, like I write in my language in Malayalam. So when I write screenplay, I write it in English. So in Mumbai, I work in another language. So I think all these languages to sustain is very important. So in a world, we are moving more towards homogeneity. So I think we need films and stories from every part of the world, and that is what makes it international. Otherwise, everyone around the world will be watching James Bond films, and that's boring, I guess. So I think that support that the government is giving is really interesting. But that kind of a support is not there for independent cinema in India, since there are mainstream cinema, mainstream industries. The support for independent cinema is a little less because you don't need to support the independent cinema because you already have the mainstream cinema. So, but I think what is happening in Philippines, like in terms of like supporting the indie filmmakers, that's really interesting.
Mm,
That lets them tell the story of their place, and that's really interesting.
mm. What is? How about you, Harvan? Is this kind of setup also similar with Indonesia? Of course, you have like the big commercial films, and then you also have these regional cinemas because you're also made up of different regions, archipelagos. So yeah, is this something similar to the state of Indonesian cinema right now?
Yeah, like India's I think India is one of the big industrial film in the world. I know
Mm.
that the India I think the first in the big in the world, and then
Yes.
Hollywood maybe for the quantitative movie. I think in every in my country in Indonesia, I think yeah we we have in Indonesian film industry for and for the around 5 years before uh, the industrial movie in Indonesia is more big,
Mm.
but in the site we also have uh, side side stream like an independent
Mm.
filmmaker always making some film, and
Mm.
then they have uh, they do the festival circuit, the screening the film in the festival circuit. Yeah,
Mm.
um, we like and our government to and our government also help us to support us to give us funding to
Mm.
making short in every region in Java,
Mm.
in Indonesia, our government they focus to help independent filmmaker to produce their movie, short film and feature film.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I'm also kind of happy that for example in Netflix, for example, films by Riri Riza and Edwin, they are now, I mean, mainstreamed in Netflix, and I guess this is in a way also, I don't know if this kind of scheme helps eventually, but I think it gets the word out there for these filmmakers. And yeah, what I guess my question would be like leaning towards that, because the past months we have noticed this shift in virtual consumption of films.
Yeah.
Everything's going online, even the film festivals. Do you think this is like a healthy scheme or structure in the long run for independent filmmakers in your country, and why or why not?
I think when Netflix yeah, Netflix very popular in Indonesia.
Mm.
Uh, um, very popular because I think they can they can show us in different ways to tell the story to tell because in I think it's difficult to our industry in Indonesia. Uh, there's no mm, there's no uh, variative in storytelling
Mm.
in theme. In theme is not there's only rom-com. Yeah, something uh, always same to tell the story in film industry. And then Netflix we can show we can watch the Netflix. They can I think it's very good to us. It's very good to Indonesian filmmaker. It's very good to the Indonesian audience. And then to producer,
Mm.
of course, the producer, the investor, they can watch different how different like different storytelling, many variative in storytelling in Netflix. I think that's
Mm.
good for us, for industry and
Yeah.
for indie filmmaking. I think so.
How about you, Nandan? Do you think these, I mean, not just Netflix, but also like putting your films out there in virtual platforms? Do you
Like,
think this? Yeah.
it, I got what you're asking, like about the
Yeah.
availability of films. That's what you're
Mm.
asking. I think that's very important, like, because earlier, like I was born in '91, so the time I was born, there was TV, and then came the cassette, the CDs, and everything. So I was able to watch a lot of films. Actually, I
Mm.
never went to any film festivals, even though there
Mm.
are a lot of film festivals. I never went to any film festival, but I used to get the festival book, and I used to watch those films. Get it from. I'm not. And earlier, when like Satyajit Ray, Satyajit Ray had a film festival. So the way they had a film festival was like they will get the film print from maybe Italy. They'll ship it, and then it'll come here. They'll show the film, and they have to send it back. So that's how they showed one film in Calcutta or Mumbai. But now, when I was watching, basically the advantage that I had was that I could watch a lot of films. So I'm not ashamed to talk about even torrent like back then. So I was able to watch a lot of films. I still remember. So since I would like to talk about Kim Ki-duk as well. Like Kim Ki-duk, the director who died. So I could talk about him. That I think I should because when I was in 10th standard, so till then I used to watch a lot of classic cinema and all, and the regional cinema. But when his film came during that time, the spring, summer, fall, winter, and spring, I got a DVD of the film. And then when I watched it, that's when earlier I used to know about Satyajit Ray and Alfred Hitchcock. I used to watch. I had watched those films, but they were like classic films. When I watched this film, Spring, Summer, Fall, Winter, and Spring, and I got to know that there is this contemporary cinema that's happening all around the world. And that was like a revelation. And then I watched a lot of other films, like Spanish films of Pedro Almodovar and all. But that time, the OTT platforms were not there. I watched everything on that because those films were never released in Spain. So without the digital platform, I would have never had the access to those films. So I need to thank these digital media for this. So when you watch these films, that definitely helps you, and that helps the filmmaking eventually. So it's very important to be available for these platforms to be available to everyone. So that definitely improves the content. Just by watching it, I think that improves the content. That helps the filmmakers, and at the same time, that helps the audience as well.
Okay. I guess it's also kind of connected. My next question with this accessibility and making films available, particularly Asian films. No, and I've asked this also to the Asian short filmmakers last night. What do you think of this trend of co-production with foreign producers, for example? Because for example, Europe, the European market is pretty much looking into Asian films, and like establishing these co-production schemes. Do you think these kind of schemes are eventually helpful for Asian cinema, for Southeast Asian cinema, and if not, then why? Maybe Harvan, have you experienced this kind of scheme, a co-production with like a foreign or a European or a foreign producer?
Yeah, I don't have any experience about I never got the co-production from the other countries, but yeah, we must try. I think I have to try to to have a co-production because that's the way to make our movie uh, realize and have a and have a wide audience. Yeah, I have many friends in Indonesia. They always got uh, the co-production from the Europe, from Asia, something like that. Yeah, I think
How
that's
about you? Yeah. How about you, Nandan? What is your opinion on this?
Uh, it's it's interesting. Any development is like good development. So, but I think still, but I have a doubt. I consider it good. The co-productions are good between two countries. It's always good. But personally, I've always felt that the films made by Indians about India and the films made by others, made like a co-production. So those films always are like very different. The co-production films, the films seem to be very different. the way the characters talk and the way the story happens and everything, I felt it's a little difficult. It's a little different. So I felt that the co-production in terms of distribution is very interesting, but that doesn't restrict you to make a film for the just for the European audience. So basically, the film has to be the Asian concept, and everything is different.
Mm.
So we are more like connected. So I think the film should remain that, the characters should remain that, and everything. And this film must be seen by others. And that distribution, if that is possible, that will be more helpful than a co-production where the aesthetics of the film and the basic idea of the film is like for Europe market. I think that I don't think that works. But still, I think it's great to have like cooperation between other countries and other filmmakers. I think that.
Yeah. Dolph, you wanna ask?
Yeah,
the next
I was
question?
because I heard you Harvan said that yung Indonesia, the film industry, the entertainment industry in Indonesia is big because I remember talking to the talent manager of Baladir Christian Bautista. I think it was popular in Indonesia, and one of my high school classmate was the vocalist of MYMP, and they were also had it big in Indonesia. And we were talking about why that the future of the Philippine, because they said that Indonesia is so big. For example, if you have one Filipino fan, if it will be multiplied by 10 in Indonesia because the market, because of the population, I think you have a big population more than the Philippines. So the even diba, Jay, remember Itbulaga was there was an Itbulaga in Indonesia, and some of the teleserye or TV series.
Teleserye.
Yes, were also I think there was Jericho Rosales was there. Yeah. And also Indonesia for its part is also exporting to their movies like The Raid. You know? I remember The Raid was very popular here. Do you see these two countries, no, into one market, one film market, one music market? Because I remember I was seeing the videos of Christian Bautista. He was being mobbed by Indonesians in your country when he was having a concert there. No, because and what was I said? What was the similarity? Why Christian Bautista was and the MYMP were popular in Indonesia? Because I think the ballads, you like the love songs, you like the ballads. I think we have something in common, right? Indonesia, Philippines, the common factor. So do you see in the future like this one your film is being shown online and can be accessed by Filipinos and also Indonesians and also Indians? Do you see further cross border exchanges of music and songs, films? Yeah.
I think Christian Christian Bautista. I think I know. There's around years. How many years they're very popular in Indonesia, and then some producer making film about him.
Really?
Yeah. I think one film about him.
Wow.
Yeah, because I think the similar thing I think is like because for a woman in Indonesian, I think he's handsome, very handsome for a woman in Indonesia. Many Indonesian women, I think like the character like Bautista, Christian Bautista. But I think his song is very popular, so making this also popular and and like in Indonesia, everything when you popular, everything you will making some producers, some songwriters, some producer music will making anything for you to get some to have some
Yeah.
money. Yeah, I think to depopulate the similar. I think we have to, yeah, we have to try to have a wide audience. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
I think yeah.
yeah.
I think it's high time, Dolph, no? Because for example, in Southeast Asia, Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia share very much a lot in
Common.
common in terms of culture. But I think one of my observations is that us here in Mindanao don't get to see
Mm,
like films from Indonesia or Malaysia because it usually gets screened in Manila, which is like very
mm,
far away from these
very
countries,
far.
and which is Mindanao is nearer to Malaysia and Indonesia, but we don't get to
So
see we don't get to see their films, so it's kind of ironic. But I think it's high time, no, because there are existing like cultural cooperations between these countries, and I think we just need to like push for this kind of cultural ties. I think most of the initiatives have been focused on the economic side, but we try to forget the fact that we are tied, or we have similarities in terms of culture, and I think this should be pushed more.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, do you have another question? I'm looking at
Um,
the
yeah.
audience
I
if
think
there is a question.
I would like to say hello to Bebs Guhecha. He's a
Yeah.
filmmaker from. He's also a restaurant owner. He's a businessman. A
Mm.
question to Harvan and Nanda, no, with this global pandemic, has it affected your plans working? Do you have projects that were put on hold? No, because an interview last night we had some filmmakers from Bangladesh, Malaysia. They were affected by these protocols. No, Jay,
Hmm.
the
Yep.
uh, the inconsistent
Inconsistent.
policies. Yeah, so they have put on hold or they cancel or delay their film production, the ones they wanted to try. But on your part, uh, what do you want? What were your plans that were derailed by the pandemic, and are you trying to jumpstart them after this is all over? Nandan, you start with Nandan.
So I had a plan. So I was working on a film on a like a commercial mainstream film. Like I was working as an assistant director. So after that, I was planning to write a book. I So I did that. I completed it during the time of lockdown. But after that, in June, July, I was planning to do another film, like a feature film. And that film was to be shot in like two states, in Kerala and Mumbai, with a lot of people. I need to shoot at the airport. I
Hmm.
need to do a lot of stuff. So you know that it's not, now it's impossible. So it's a mainstream film. It's a mainstream commercial film in Malayalam. So
Hmm.
so now it seems impossible to do that film. So I've just shifted it aside. So I'm planning on something else. And so for the time being, since I didn't have a plan, so I started writing another book. So that's what I was doing in between. But now that it seems impossible that it's like completely recover, like the world gets completely recovered and then we start doing something. So I found
Hmm.
something else where I can work on in one state where I can't travel a lot. I don't need to travel a lot, and I don't need to get the crew to different places. It becomes difficult because earlier in the film that I had, I was planning to. I needed the crowd. Like Mumbai is a very crowded city, so I want to show
Hmm.
the crowd and everything in the film. But now
Hmm.
it's impossible. So it happens only in dreams and nightmares. So it's just impossible. So we can't shoot it. So I'm planning something else where I can shoot in a more safe environment. I think that. So once that film is done, maybe then, because I think it will still take time to be normal, like the way it used to be. It will still take
Hmm.
time. So I think I need to switched the plans. I changed the plans basically.
Are
I
protocols
changed
in
the
there
tactics.
in India very strict, like here or in other countries that I think Jay last night, no, they were very stifled by the very strict protocols, no? So they had to delay their film. But in India, is the very government very strict, particular in filming protocols?
Not really. It was strict. It was strict, but it was strict during March, April, May. During that time it was strict, and then later the government allowed shooting. So now what is happening is now it's not. The situation is also getting better in India. So the COVID situation is also getting better, and at the same time, people can't like stay uh, like from filmmaking for long, because since I said it's an industry, like it's not like independent filmmakers who have other jobs. So it's like an industry, and there are a lot of people whose life depend on that, like the daily wages, lightmen,
Yeah.
assistant directors, art assistants, like set builders, costume assistants, makeup assistants. So all these people, it's a huge industry. So they've opened everything right now. So now ad films are being shot, films are being shot. A lot of films are being shot in Europe now, but still a lot of films are being shot. But there are protocols, but still shooting is happening. So now
Yeah.
it's not that strict, to be honest. Earlier it was very strict, but it's happening because we can't be like that strict anymore. I think we realized it and we started it. It's not like earlier how it used to be earlier. It's a little difficult, but still people are now getting used to it, getting used to the protocol.
Okay, Harvan, your plans. What were plans that was derailed by this COVID pandemic?
Yeah, pandemic COVID is problem, making problem in social and in our culture, in our economy. Yeah, we must have plan. We have to make plan. I just planning to when pandemic is over. I think we hope in next year, in January or February, in Jakarta or in Indonesia, the pandemic will be more. Yeah, uh, I got some script to I want to filming where the plan is this year, but I think I hope I can make I can produce this on the February or January next year.
Uh,
Maybe. Yeah.
I hopefully know the pandemic and will end and everything goes back to normal, including our shootings and other productions.
Yeah.
Because the
I think
but
in January or February still not normal, but more flexible with the
yeah.
rules from the government. I think more flexible. So
Mm.
we still we still we still need to protect the um, from the COVID.
Okay, Jay, do you have questions?
Um, I think I used up all my questions, and
Okay, it's already 1 hour. No?
we are nearing
Oh,
also the 1 hour of our discussion. Yeah, and I guess uh, I think we want to you guys Harvan and Nandan to if you have
promote.
any last closing message. Still screening up to tomorrow. Yeah, Nandan, you wanna go first?
So I'm very happy to be associated with Mindanao Film Festival, even though it's happening online. I feel great, and I hope one day I can visit Philippines and Mindanao. That's what I wish, because I think we have a lot of. I think from some parts of Kerala, we do have a lot. I think there are a lot of coconut trees over there. I hope in the Philippines.
Yes.
There, yeah. So we also have a lot of coconut trees. I hope maybe I can visit Philippines sometime and listen to the stories and do something there. I want to be there.
Mm.
Recently, I watched a film. I watched a documentary actually about the other film, Apocalypse Now. So I was watching
Ah,
the film by Francis Ford Coppola. So I was watching the
mm,
documentary about making of Apocalypse Now.
mm,
I came to know that it was shot in Philippines.
mm.
So that documentary, Dark Heart of Darkness, I saw that it was shot in Philippines. So
Yeah.
find it very interesting, and I hope that when everything gets normal, maybe some other time, I can come and visit
Yeah.
Philippines and Mindanao.
Yeah, Davao City
Yeah.
has many Indian restaurants because we have so
Mm.
many Indians. It's like little India already in some parts of
Nice.
Davao.
Indians are
Because
Yeah.
everywhere.
the medical school here in Davao is well known
Okay.
for in India because a lot of Indian students who took or finished their schooling in here in the Davao Medical School, 100% passing rate in the Indian board. Indian
Okay.
Medical Board. So that's it's very popular. So there's so many, yeah, about over 1,000 Indian students, medical
Oh,
students.
nice.
So that's why we
Okay, I
were
didn't
talking
know
about
that. That's
cricket.
interesting.
Yeah,
Cricket, yeah.
we were talking about cricket. I could see them in the fields, no, playing cricket. That was new to us because we were oriented to soccer, to football and basket, more especially basketball. But cricket that was new to us.
Boxing.
Boxing. Okay. Okay, Harvan.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for Jay. Thank you for Rudolph to making this festival running. I really missing. I really miss Mindanao Film Festival because my graduate film has been screened at this festival. Hope the festival will be more big with the international uh, film maybe
Yeah.
and and got the and maybe in the next year maybe can inviting the filmmaker to
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Yeah.
to
Hopefully.
visiting the Mindanao. I think that's important to to share the
Yeah.
to sharing our culture something
Mm.
like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope next year we can do that. No, to we can physically gather back again in a collectively watching a film like we used to. But yeah, for the meantime, we have this to
True.
make do the online platform, and I guess for Mindanao Film Festival, it's very much also a um, uh, privilege or I think it's a also blessing in disguise in terms of like having the filmmakers who we usually don't get to um, be with during the festival, especially those that are not from the Philippines, to be joining us virtually. So I think that's also
that.
one of the advantage that these online platforms have given us. But yeah, we prefer to have you physically, hopefully in the future. And once again, thanks for sharing your films. I hope we hope that you get to finish your next projects, no, so that we can also show them in the next editions probably. And yeah, thank you. Dolph, you wanna thank some
Yeah.
partners?
I would like to thank our partners, Film Development Council of the Philippines, Japan Foundation, VIDC, Globe Telecoms, Touch Mobile, Southspot, and the Alchemy of Vision and Light Productions. Again, thank you to Harvan and Nandan. Oh, Jay, Nandan said that the Mindanao Film Fest was in the news in Kerala because the newspapers made a news article that
Wow.
his film was
You can see
featured
in
in
the
the Mindanao.
Facebook page. You can see on our
Yeah.
Facebook page. I added it there.
Oh, okay.
So you can
Well,
see it in Malayalam, Kannada, and everything.
oh, thank you very much.
Nice.
Nice. We
Thank
have
you.
we're
By the
expanding
way,
our audience. Yeah.
by
Yeah,
the way,
great.
Nandan, I follow the Facebook page Kerala Cooking Village Cooking. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of that because I love cooking. So
That's great.
it's very fun.
Great.
Yeah, it's very
It's
fascinating.
very interesting. It's
Yeah,
very
yeah.
true. It's very inspiring, to be honest. It's not even just
Yeah.
about cooking. It's very inspiring. I
Yeah.
like it a lot. Great that you're watching.
Yeah. Thank you once again,
Thank you once
Nandan and
again.
Harvan.
Thank
Stay
you so
safe
much,
wherever you are.
Jay. Thank you.
And then
Thank you, Harvan.